Okay. So good morning, everybody. As Jessica mentioned, my name is Marwa. I'm from the Syrian Canadian Foundation, which is a charitable organization based in the GTA. We have started this organization back in 2016. When the first wave of Syrian refugees arrived to Canada, as Syrian Canadians, we decided to step in and support the newly arrived refugees who became part of our community. And we started by engaging with newcomers, with partners, with volunteers to build welcoming communities and culturally customized services for these refugees and diverse communities. Now, sadly, we all know that crises happen every once in a while. In the beginning, we were formed to support just Syrian refugees, but now we have diverse background refugees like Afghans, and we are expecting also many refugees from Ukraine. Our mission is to empower newcomers and people of diverse background while promoting cross-cultural exchanges within Canadian society. Now, most of our programs, we try our best to diversify the services that we have. We have different mainstreams that we cover, like mental health, women entrepreneurship program, youth, seniors, and of course, language training program. And in fact, the language training program was the first and main program that SCF started. And that's when they hired me back in 2017. So that's why it's like my baby that I saw it grow year by year. And back then in 2016, we have witnessed the high volume of refugees, like thousands arriving at once. And we know how overwhelmed the settlement agencies were and shelters and hotels. So due to high volume of participants, many of them were on waiting lists and they were not able to access the basic government services like Link program or other language programs. So we decided as CF to come up with a program called the English Tutoring Program. So we partnered with the University of Toronto in Mississauga, and we did group sessions there in person for them to meet one another, connect with the community, and improve their at least conversational skills, because they were relying on volunteers for their basic necessities like going to medical appointments or even simply doing their grocery shopping. So we tried our best while they're on the waiting list for them to improve their speaking skills. We also noticed another gap that many of them had like mental health issues or illnesses that were not, that would prevent them from leaving their homes. So we decided to do a one-on-one tutoring program. There was amazing response by the community. We had, I think, over 315 volunteers who were able to be matched with a Syrian refugee family. So depending on the case, if we notice like a mother who doesn't have access to daycare, or she has an illness that would not be able to leave the house, we would send the tutor to her home and they can conduct sessions on a weekly basis. And that was not just about tutoring program or improving their speaking skills. We have noticed the amazing relationship that they have established. It was like a mentorship, and they became family friends until this day. So we decided for this program, again, we noticed another gap that after 3-4 years, these newcomers were not improving their CLB levels at Link program or other programs. So we came up with an innovative idea that we would include VR, like cutting edge VR technology, into the education system and the language training program, hoping that this would be effective and faster for newcomers to pick up the language and focus on the speaking skills. So we partnered again with UTM. They have been amazing partners with us, specifically the Department of Language Studies. And we have launched this program early this year. It's funded by IRCC. And what we're planning to do, it's a research-based project. We're planning to implement VR, virtual reality, and AI, artificial intelligence. So how would it work is we would have classrooms. One classroom, we would have the participants and students have the VR set that UTM were generous enough to provide us with these VR sets. And then we have the AI, which means they can practice with a virtual human. So they can we can assess their confidence levels, because we have noticed many of the students are not able to conduct a conversation because they're shy and they don't want to make errors or mistake while they're speaking. So in that way, they know that this is not a real human, so they're able to practice as many hours as possible and improve their language skills. So the goal of this program is really to explore how newcomers can improve their language skills in an innovative and engaging way so they can accelerate their integration and develop a sense of belonging in their new home. Now, here are some pictures that you see. We launched actually 2 weeks ago. Every Saturday, we have these sessions happening at UTM. And the feedback has been amazing. It's very
Dame la dirección aquí. Es que no la tengo. No la sabes, no. Entonces.
Sorry, is there any question?
No sé.
Okay. So as I mentioned, we have started 2 weeks ago at UTM, and we're doing these group sessions. What we're doing is we're focusing on identifying the curriculum through UTM, and every session will have one theme. Let's say this session, they're going to learn how to do their grocery shopping or cook dinner. So all 3 classes will have the same theme for the research study to be accurate and be able to evaluate the process and improvement of these newcomers. Now, these are the research objectives that we have. We're trying to determine the effect of VR training tools on the experience and effectiveness of language and cultural training for newcomers. We have 2 distinct VR tools, the English training program, Immerse and Link Lingo. These are their names. And we're trying also to help settlement services adapt to more effectively meet the specific needs of unique groups of newcomers. Now, these are the background of the participants. We have seniors, we have, of course, refugees and newcomers, ethnic culture, and we have people who have disabilities. So UTM is able to support on that. And here I have a video. I'm hoping that it would work. We have produced 2 videos for this program. So it would help us with outreach because it's very unique and new. So it's better to, instead of having a post or speaking with families one-on-one, we're doing these outreach videos so we can explain what the program is about. So just let me know if you can hear.
At the Syrian Canadian Foundation, one of our first and
Okay. Okay, here we go. Just let me know if you can hear the video. I'm going to play it now.
The Engaged program is a virtual reality and artificial intelligence language training program designed to integrate technology into education. This research-based project will deliver English classes while applying 3 different learning methods. One is the traditional classroom, where a group of students will learn from a teacher. 2 is the virtual reality technology, using simulated scenarios from real life displayed on a VR headset. And 3, learning through artificial intelligence, where students can communicate and practice with a virtual human. Using this engaging new format for teaching and learning, we can further support newcomers in improving their language skills through interaction and immersion. These classes focus on improving conversational skills, practicing real-life scenarios, and building confidence in speaking English. We have made these classes free for students with an English level of 3, 4, or 5. We are encouraging newcomers to register now and join us in taking the first step towards the future of learning through technology.
Let me share my presentation again. So what we hope to achieve in this program is to see clients improve their speaking language skills, of course, access to services that would meet their needs, and have and build confidence in speaking English. And in general, any program that SCF established, our goal is to help newcomers accelerate their integration and develop a sense of belonging to their new home, Canada. And we believe that language support is the first essential step. So this is the presentation for today about Engage program. And one more slide I have about a different campaign that I asked Jessica for me to share. I have shared this in previous meetings where we were working on a campaign between April and May, which called Home Starter Kit. So we're trying our best to connect with settlement agencies and people who have access to newcomers who are still living at shelters or hotels. And when they move out from these shelters, they're moving into empty units. And we all know due to inflation, everything, like all the prices have gone up. So we decided to support with Home Starter Kit. We can help with essentials like cookware, pots, pans, bedding blankets, custom food supplies, and cleaning supplies. So we're happy that we were able to exceed our goal through this campaign. We have raised over $40,000. In this chat, I'm gonna share the intake form. So if you have any families that you would like to refer, please fill the form and we're happy to support them and deliver the kids to their home. And that's about it from my end. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has anything to ask.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Marwa. Really exciting projects, and congratulations on the Home Starter Kit program as well. We have a first question from Gurpreet. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I think is amazing. I think that's a need in the community for clients. You shared the intake form. Can we get in the email so
yes,
it will be easier for us to access? And
yes, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
No.
Okay, great.
Can we also get the eligibility requirements, criteria, how we can measure, and then we can fill accordingly based? Yes, please.
For sure. So basically any refugee family who are currently at a hotel or shelter who just arrived to Canada and they're moving into their new units or houses. So we're trying our best to help them with these essential needs.
Super. And I think someone has asked
Thank you.
Eligibility criteria to join the English language training program as well.
Yes, so for the English language training program, as long as they have their English levels, that their CLB is 3 and above, they're eligible to be part of this program.
Super.
And as I mentioned, it is in person. So of course, if they live like around the same area, we are conducting these sessions at UTM in Mississauga. We do have newcomers who are coming from Scarborough, which is great. They're commuting like 2 hours just to come to this program. So we are accepting if they're okay with that.
Perfect. Okay, a question from Karen. Oh, I think you're on mute.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just wondering when you think the outcomes will be available, and if recommendations will include things like, you know, if virtual reality or AI is proven to be effective, you know, what are some of the considerations, factors, and costs and things like that for classrooms? It would be really interesting just to have a report with, you know, all of that kind of detail as well when you're done.
100%. So this is a 2-year research project. So after 2 years, UTM is helping us with the research component. We're going to share the research studies. We're going to have a conference actually and share the research studies and recommendations as well. And we'll have also a report. Usually we share our research reports on our website as well.
Great to hear. Great. Someone asked in the chat box, do you also provide technological devices such as laptops and Chromebooks?
For this program, no, but usually for previous programs, we did, all depending on the funder, if they allow us to do that, or sometimes we partner with a different organization who can support us with this. But for this particular program, we are providing them the VR set through UTM, so there is no need for them to use laptops.
Okay, super. And a question from Adriana, go ahead.
Sorry, you're muted.
Do you have any resources for refugees living outside of Ontario?
We are working on that. Now, SCF have gone national this year. Officially, we have the vaccine project that we're doing in Calgary and Quebec. We are hoping that we go national with the rest of the project. So that's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Great. Amtul, go ahead.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Marwa, for this wonderful presentation, very informative. So I just, Gurpreet already asked about the eligibility. I just wanted to make sure, so it means the eligible clients are only the refugees,
Correct.
permanent residents and convention refugees, right?
I mean, some of them do already have their PR. Like I believe some Afghan refugees have their PR. So as long as they're newcomers and they arrived to Canada the past few years, like I would say the past 3 years, they are eligible to be part of this program.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
I also do want to mention that I was surprised with the feedback and response to the refugees, because I was hesitant because it's very unique. And we all know, like, even for me, it was my first time using a VR headset. But we have noticed it was very positive, and we actually have a waiting list now. We're covered for the next 2 cohort, but I'm happy to have the intake form shared with you. But please be patient with us. We are trying to accommodate everybody. So if we're not able to sign them up for this cohort, we're hoping next year or the next few months as well.
Great. And Marwa, do you have a suggestion in terms of the types of clients that would be best suited for this program?
I would say clients who at least have the basic language skill level, because we're trying to, it's a research project, so, and we're focusing just on the speaking skills. We have noticed that many clients have showed up who are not able to even understand how to introduce themselves. So they need some work before they can join this particular program, just because it's a research program. But we're hoping that if we do prove that this is an effective tool to use, we're able to take it to a bigger scale and provide this program for even beginners as well.
Super. And a couple of questions in the chat box. One is around a flyer to promote the program, if you have one to share.
Share that. Maybe I'll email it to you, Jessica, the flyer. I'll email you the forms as well, because I don't think I can share the flyer here. I'll try.
Okay. No, that's okay.
If not, I'll send you everything to you.
Yeah, we'll follow up for sure by email with the registrants, and happy to do that.
And also, I would like to mention, for the Home Starter Kit, we are doing outreach for volunteers. So anybody who would like to support, even with other programs, we launched also Women Entrepreneurship Program. Many people want to be involved and like connect. So I'm happy to also share that form and do some outreach for volunteers.
Great. And so I think there's a question here about how the Home Starter Kit relates. It seems like, from my understanding, they're not related to the VR.
Oh, no. Yes, I just decided to, when I asked you about it, if I'm able to mention it, because I've noticed many people here are working with settlement agencies. So it would be good to share that we are now distributing these kits. So if any family is in need, we're happy to help them. Okay, super. That's great. So that covers that question. There's a couple of questions about the VRAI program. How many registrants are in each research cohort, and the duration of the program for the client? So for the client, it would be 8 weeks for each cohort. Then after that, it's kind of very similar to like university, I would say, semester. So every 8 weeks, they take a break, and then they move to the next cohort, depending on their CLB levels. And I would say for each class, we're not taking more than 8 students, just because of the limited access to the VR set. So we're trying to have a limited number of people. But for now, we have almost 110 signups. Oh, wow. That's a lot of interest. That's great to hear. Yeah. And a question to share your website in the chat box. Yes, I will share it now right away. Okay, and while you do that, I'll introduce Ted. So Ted Killin is a professional writer and editor in Toronto. He's completed hundreds of projects for local and international clients through his company, Knack. He's also a dedicated volunteer in the settlement sector, helping refugee youth to gain language skills and make new connections in the city. And to further these efforts, he recently founded a new social venture, I've Arrived, with a literary mission, paying refugees to upgrade their writing skills. And he encourages these newcomer refugees to sign up to this program. So we're going to hear more about this program through Ted's presentation. We're very grateful to have him, and what sounds like a really supportive and also very innovative program. So over to you, Ted.
All right. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm Ted Killin, and actually I am a child of Peel. I grew up in Erin Mills and went to school there, and now I live downtown Toronto, but always love the Peel vibe. So thanks for having me here. Let's get this presentation going. All right. So everyone can see this, I hope. So yeah, so what is Knack? So Knack is a company that I started, a startup company, and it's now a social venture that pays refugees to upgrade their writing skills. And it's a program that came out of the work that I did in 2016, where I was doing language workshops and cultural exchange with Syrian refugees, specifically youth at the University of Toronto. And there was a language workshop, just a volunteer workshop where I was coming up with curriculum. There was about 50 to 70 newcomers that would come with paired one-on-one with Canadian students, and we would work with them. And so yeah, I just got some insights in terms of what some young refugees would need coming to Toronto. And there's of course a long list, as we all know, and so they need settlement support, which includes language skills. Professional experience really helps to improve their job prospects on the ground. Paid work, of course, is always an amazing thing, just to kind of get some money in your pockets when you first arrive. And just social connections, because having a personal and professional network soon after you arrive in Canada just really helps you thrive and create a successful integration process. And so I realized that I wanted to create a program that provided direct value to refugees, because there are 3 language programs provided by the government, but they're classroom models. They're not always the most personal. And so this is what I'm designing. And so the program that I have gives an hourly wage to participate in the program. So young refugees will get an hourly wage, not just for writing, but also for the coaching session with me. They generate essential professional documents. So I go over resumes, cover letters, university applications, even professional emails, really whatever they want to work on. The newest stage of this is the I've Arrived component, where we're actually publishing articles online, which they can put on their CV to show that they have Canadian experience. And then just in general, increasing their confidence in communication. The way that I think about this is that if I went to a new country, I would want someone to help me with the new language, and not just somebody who's like a professional teacher necessarily, but someone who's also enthusiastic about the language, that's not going to kind of like ride me for mistakes in certain ways. That's like an encouraging, uplifting environment. And so yeah, what are my qualifications? Who am I? So I've been a professional writer in Toronto for over 10 years, ever since I graduated from York University. I just finished my MA in Immigration and Settlement Studies a couple of years ago. The former Ryerson, now Toronto Metropolitan. I've been coaching newcomers and even Canadians in their writing skills hundreds of hours. And I've done trauma-informed work with refugees through the work at University of Toronto. And as you can see, just my unbridled enthusiasm. Really, the 3 things I love the most is meeting new people, supporting others, and playing with words. So really, this is just kind of a perfect fit. So in terms of the success that I've had with newcomers, these are 2 Syrian newcomers I work with, and one of them has become a freelance journalist after she finished her undergrad. And then another friend of mine, Hanan, she actually launched a great website for BAM Collective, which it stands for Books, Art, and Music. And so it's kind of an art collective for newcomers and other marginalized communities in the city, which is great. And then, yeah, in terms of Canadians, like I worked at TMU Ryerson for 6 years in their Office of Research and Innovation. And so I've helped people with their applications and their grants. And yeah, this is kind of what I'm up to. So what makes my writing program different than others? It's really customizable. Is a very personal writing program. I'm working with the writing sample of newcomers, and these are cute emojis, but they're not just for show. They actually are a scale of writing that I can use to give feedback. So you can see that red is still the color of mistakes, whereas blue is kind of perfect, kind of journalistic quality writing. And so you can see I give nuance. Purple is for repetition, yellow is for minor mistakes, and even green is for good writing, because I like to also indicate where you're doing well, right? So you're giving good feedback with constructive feedback. You can even see the red emoji has a big smile on the face, maybe a little sweat drop because they made a mistake, but everything is about creating a positive learning environment so that people, even feel good about themselves as they're coming up in the world and learning new skills. So this is the newest part of the venture. It's called I've Arrived, and it's an uplifting newsletter written by the refugees. And so now in this writing program, yes, they're working on resume, they're working on their cover letters and these things, but they're also writing personal stories and they're writing articles of their own choosing. And so I wanted to give them a venue to publish it, and I wanted to give a paid subscriber option to kind of help fund the program, in the sense that all the money for this is going directly to the refugees. I'm just paying them, so they actually make $150 for 10 hours of their time, 5 hours in terms of writing and 5 hours in terms of the coaching sessions. And yeah, so if you wanted to sign up for $5 or $10 a month, you would be helping refugees to earn money to upgrade skills, which I think is a pretty fun twist on language education. So where are we now? So I'm actually currently serving 4 refugee students. There's 3 from Afghanistan and 1 from Egypt. I'm going to be adding new students as capacity allows. And so I'm going to be adding new students as June goes on, probably end of June, early July, I'll be adding new students. I'm going to be publishing articles on the I've Arrived portal every 3 to 4 weeks. The next one's going to be on World Refugee Day, as we all know, is coming up. And then I'm also going to be doing live workshops downtown in the future. Kind of still through the University of Toronto student group that I was working with. We're hoping to find space. Of course, with COVID, things have been a bit more tricky in terms of gathering people. But I also want to be doing live drop-in digital workshops as well. And those will involve things like, going over amateur writing line by line and talking about what's going on in terms of structure and editing. But also, I want to be analyzing some kind of like, professional fiction stories, some professional articles, and just kind of going through and showing what's amazing about them. So yeah. I actually forgot I had the slide in here. So why knack? So why is it called knack? Well, knack is a cool word. So you get the knack of something, you kind of get the seamless skill of something. And I thought that's kind of the level of ability that I want all my students to get. But it is also an homage to my parents. So my mom was a librarian, my father was a writer. And so words have been in my veins my whole life. I'm really grateful to them. And actually, unfortunately, my mom's no longer with us anymore. And before she passed, she and I had a conversation about how important service to the community is. And she really ingrained that lesson deep into me. And so this is just my way of trying to, enrich the community and give back a bit to people who have just come here and can really use a friendly face and a leg up. You know what I mean? So this is what it's all about. And thanks for listening, and please feel free to contact me for any more information, and happy to be taking on new students. And thanks a lot, everyone. Oh, and here, I'll just show you quickly. This is what the I've Arrived website looks like. So you see, we have our landing page here. Just kind of a bit more info about it. And you can go down and you can see these articles. And so actually, this is the first article I published on June 3rd. And this is our one of our students, Irfan, and this is just a memorable day in Canada that he wrote about his Easter with his sponsor family that he lives with. And it's really just a beautiful small story with some lovely pictures. And yeah, this is what it's all about, guys.
Super. Thank you so much, Ted. It's so wonderful to hear the backstory, and you seem like such a warm and enthusiastic teacher, and I think it's great to hear where that comes from. And just want to open up for questions for Ted, and anything about his program. You're getting lots of kudos in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm seeing it blowing up over here. Yeah, I can see the questions Eric answer. I do work with refugee claimants for sure. I mean, I'm just a guy. I'm not like an official government body, so I'm happy to work with refugee claimants. Of course, they also need the support. Looking down, how to refer people to me, just by email or the website. So I can put my email in the chat right now, tedkillin@gmail.com. There's also my websites, the Knack website or the I've Arrived website. Either one of those will lead you to me. But yeah, I'm always available for referrals and just to chat about what's going on, for sure. And I will be definitely starting like the digital drop-in workshops, even if they're not the in-person one downtown, for space. And that's not only for my students, like anybody would be welcome to that. So yeah.
Super. Any other questions from the group? Around, I guess currently you have a cohort going on right now. I'm just curious about how often do they meet, and yeah, just what does that look like in terms of the online
So
version?
it was intended to be weekly, and generally it is. There are a few students who have been good with weekly, of course, because they are newcomers and refugees and they're settling. Sometimes scheduling conflicts are a bit difficult. So I've had a few students who are more like bi-weekly, so to speak. I mean, the weekly is better because you kind of absorb the lessons a bit more strongly if it's every week, right? But yeah, I'm very sensitive in terms of their scheduling, and then they're going to need to take care of themselves and their families instead of writing and playing with words occasionally. So generally I try for weekly, but I'm flexible.
Amazing. And Luciana has a question about the wage range.
Sure. The wages right now it's $15 an hour. So I'm doing $15 an hour, and I'm doing a 10-hour stretch of that. So it's $150 total. And actually, if they do want to publish an article, I pay them $50 for that published article so they can be a paid writer. You know what I mean? So yeah, Irfan, he published the first article. I paid him $200, and yeah, that's how I'm designing it right now. And I would love if I get more funding to do a stretch goal where it'd be $20 an hour and $100 per article, just to get as much money in their hands as possible. But yes, right now it's $15 an hour for 10 hours, and 5 hours of that is direct coaching sessions with me. 5 hours of that is for them to write on their own time. So I'm paying them for their work in terms of their writing effort. And yeah, that's the wage range right now.
Fantastic. Adriana?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Ted. Is this available to students who are in other provinces other than Ontario?
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, Canada-wide. Honestly, right now, all of my students have been in Ontario just by happenstance. Those the kind of volunteer networks I'm a part of. But absolutely, it's open to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Okay, so age range for my clients. That's interesting. So I initially had designed it for youth specifically because the original population with the Syrian newcomers that I was working with was youth. So probably like 19 to 27, 30-ish. But for this program, yes, 4 of the 5 were youth, but actually one of the participants is a 48-year-old man from Afghanistan, right? And I don't want to limit it just to youth. I really am looking for people who are keen to write and to improve their skills in that, because digital communication in our world is so important. And so yeah, no, the 48-year-old was a civil engineer in Afghanistan, and he found out about the program and applied very enthusiastically. And even though I was initially thinking youth, I was like, I'm not going to turn down someone for their age, you know what I mean? And he has really been one of my better students. He's really enthusiastic about it. So yeah, no, it's generally it's open to really every age. Is this program for anyone interested in professional writing only? No, not professional writing only. Definitely that's a part of it in terms of just like helping them with applications and their cover letter, just to get them to put their best foot forward in terms of applying for new opportunities. But really it's just about improving your communication in English and creating an environment where you can gain confidence in your personal expression as well. So it doesn't have to be professional. What I've been doing is actually giving them the impetus in terms of what they want to write. So I'll ask them, hey, here are the options. We can go professional. You can do your resume and cover letter. Or if you would like to write a story about your time in Canada, a story about your past, maybe a favorite memory, even like your favorite meal, I can really work with anything, because I just take the structure of what you're working with and talk about how you're transitioning between ideas, your language ability, and that sort of thing. So yeah, not just professional writing. What is the CLB level they need to register? Nothing explicitly. Similar to Marwa, kind of my cutoff at the low end is CLB 3, just because before that you're not really getting much of the sentence structure and paragraphing that is important, that I can give a lot of like high level feedback on. So yeah, generally 3 is the lowest, but I do prefer 4 in terms of an entry level. But yeah, one of the people I'm working with is a 3. There is a 5. Somebody else was actually like a 7 already, but wanted to polish it up, and that was good. So the range is fairly open, but minimum 3, I would say. looking for volunteers is interesting. I mean, certainly that would be cool. Is I'm a one-man show right now, and this is actually, so the social venture I'm working on is being incubated at Toronto Metropolitan University. There's something called the Social Venture Zone, and they're helping me. So I'm hoping to get a student intern for the summer, and they were going to help me on kind of like the social media kind of like side of things, just to kind of, you know, get the word out there a little bit more. But it's certainly something I would love in the future, is to think about how to incorporate volunteers into this. And thank you for asking. That'd be awesome. Is it open to all immigration status? Yes, it sure is. I am not discerning or picky in that realm. I just want to work with people who are keen to learn. So that's really the only other, so I mean, I guess those are the three requirements. The requirements: you have to be keen to learn. I always want to work with people who are, like, you know, interested in upgrading their skills. And then the other two requirements are technical. Just they need to have access to Zoom and Google Docs, because the way that I do it is we're both in a Google Doc together, and so that they can actually make changes themselves and see changes I'm making. And that is actually like a really nice way to operate in terms of the lesson plan. So those are the only requirements technically, is that Zoom and Google Docs are a must. So that is the program virtual for any? Yes. So right now the question is the program virtual for anyone who is interested? And the answer is yes, it's virtual. Part of the reason was COVID, but also part of the reason was just ease of access. Because transportation can be prohibitive in terms of commuting to different places, right? And so I want to make this accessible as possible. So it is digital, and that's why I also use Google Docs for, you know, distance education, but also so that it is interactive in the sense that they can actually be participating live in the document. So it's not like a traditional lesson where there's like somebody at a chalkboard and you're sitting at your desk. We're both working on the document at the same time, which is gives a bit more of an in-depth lesson at the end of the day. So yes, it's virtual right now. I would love to do it in person eventually downtown, because I just love meeting people, and is a really great vibe, reminiscent of my work in 2016. But right now it is all virtual for sure.
Amazing. I wonder if anyone else has any other questions for either Marwa or Ted. And feel free to share if you have any reflections from what you've heard. There's a lot of innovation that we've heard from both speakers. Any reflections or questions that you know, might be broader for the two speakers or for the group? And we just put in the evaluation link into the chat box. So if you have a moment to fill that in, that will really help us know this session is hitting the nail on the head. Karen?
Hi, I'm just wondering, I'm sure with, sorry, the UTM program too, can you give any kind of background on what it took to develop the virtual reality and the AI applications that you're using?
So as I mentioned, it's funded by IRCC. You're asking about the grant application, like the funding?
I'm asking about the actual content that you're delivering. How, you know, was that part of an initial stage of development? You know, was it based on link program, you know, CLBs?
Oh, yes. So we hired,
all that
yes.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So we hired teachers through ETMs, through the language studies department, and they were able to develop the curriculum from level 3 to 5. And as I mentioned, we're trying our best to have all the themes would be together for the VR, AI, and even the traditional language training program as well. So we're doing everything through UTM.
Okay.
Super. Maybe Marwa and Ted, I wonder if you want to share any, I guess, lessons learned so far in your work. And I know you both have sort of a lot of background in your work. Any lessons learned that you'd like to share that are maybe nuanced around support around language training and sort of the support that you provide?
I think, as I mentioned during the presentation, we try our best, not just with the language training program, but with every program that SCF launches, is we try to provide unique programs and innovative in a way that we're filling a gap. We don't want to duplicate our efforts if other settlement agencies or other organizations are providing the same programs. and really addressing the need of the newcomers, consulting them, talking to them, asking about their needs instead of thinking on their behalf or assuming what they would need. That really benefited SCF from the very beginning. And we always have them involved, like as Ted mentioned, I think, Hana Nana, she's part of SCF as well, and she really helps us with the outreach because she has access to the community. She's very active. She's a newcomer and refugee, but she's doing amazing work. So having ambassadors like Hanan really helps the organization on reflecting on what does the youth need, what do the adults need, or even seniors, for us to provide the proper and right program to fill the gap and really benefit the community.
That's great to hear.
I'll pass it to Ted if you have anything else to add on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the perspective that Marwa is bringing there as well in terms of really listening, right? And when I started this program, I guess in terms of, like its marketability in terms of the nonprofit sphere, so many people were pushing me to be like, hey, like make sure it's about professional documents, make sure you're doing like professional work with newcomers so that like, that people understand the impact that you're making. And I thought, I want that to be one option, but I also want refugees to be able to tell me what they want to write about. I don't want to say, hey, you're writing a cover letter, we're going over that. It's like, hey, we can do your cover letter, we can write something personal if you have a personal essay or a story that you really want to share and express. This is about expressing yourself in a way that I think, honestly, unfortunately, a lot of refugees do get dehumanized in a way that they don't allow, that they don't have the space to express themselves fully. And so that's part of what I wanted to generate, was just a platform and a space that is open for them, right? And so that's a lesson, is just, listening and always making sure you're not dictating what they need, actually listening to what they want. And the other thing is just, in terms of scheduling isn't always the easiest thing with newcomers, especially when they're in their first month settling, trying to figure out a million different things. And so I've been very flexible on that. And I mean, the other insights are really kind of more nerdy, writerly grammar things. Like it's fascinating to see people from all different walks of life have a lot of the same errors in terms of, repetition, run-on sentences, these kind of things. Those are the major two things, right? It's like, whoa, where are you going here? We need to make sure that we're putting punctuation, a breath, these kind of things, right? And it's cool. And the way I try and teach is like tracking written English to spoken English. Like, hey, you wouldn't say all this without a breath, you'd run out of air, right? You need to make sure that you're putting these punctuation pieces in places that you would naturally have a moment. And it's like, oh, like these are great ways to kind of connect people to the written word, because actually in terms of like reading, writing, and speaking, I find that writing is the most difficult one to get the nuances of, right? Because the other ones you're kind of getting daily as you're absorbing new information about the new city that you're in, right? But writing is a bit different. So connecting it to actually the spoken word is something that is cool and has helped a lot in terms of driving home these lessons. Yeah. But overall, also, I guess the last thing is making it fun. I think a lot of the time doing a difficult task, like not even just learning English, but learning like written English, is dry. It's so dry trying to teach like grammar rules in a vacuum, right? And so this is why I want to work with their writing, something they're already interested and excited to work with, and then going over it and saying, instead of saying, hey, this is this grammar rule, being like, hey, this is too long without a break, let's add a break here, this is how you add a break, and these sort of ideas, right? So, making it fun. That's why I added the emojis. That's why, honestly, I'm a bit less formal, I'm a bit more casual in terms of conversation, and that also adds to it that they're learning conversation skills as well by doing these workshops and speaking with me. So yeah, and that's kind of where the lessons and ideas I've kind of gathered from the program so far.
That's great. Yeah, love the colors and emojis, and I think making it fun is so critical, and having new technology sometimes, as Marwa has in her program, really helps raise some interest in different ways. Maybe a last question, and feel free others if you want to chime in for a last couple questions, is around scaling some of these programs. So I know you both mentioned you're, obviously at a research phase for the SCF program, and Ted, you're getting quite a bit of interest as well. And any thoughts on scaling for the future? I think there were a couple questions already, but if there's any additional thoughts on, in an ideal world, if what would you need to scale this project, or are there plans already or thoughts in the back of your mind in terms of maybe making it reach more people?
For SCF, as I mentioned, I really am aiming to go national and help other provinces with the programs that we already did establish or we worked on for 5 or 6 years. And for this particular program, we're really hoping, again, depending on the research studies, and if we do prove that this is an effective method for newcomers to learn language skills in a fast and engaging way, we're hoping that we can get more funding, because we all know that even the VR set and these type of technologies it's more cost, it would cost us more. However, it would save them time to learn the language instead of wasting 3, 4, 5 years in improving one CLB level. We're hoping that that would help them maybe in 1.5 years or 2 years, all depending on, of course, each student. But that would help them improve the language better and integrate. And we're hoping that other settlement agencies and other organizations would also apply this method and just basically changing the education system in a more innovative way. Because this is the future at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you so much for those thoughts. Anything else to add there, Ted, on your side?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first off, I just want to say I'm super excited about Marwa's initiative. I think VR is an super interesting technology, and the idea of maybe even like being in a space that is like less engaging, like a classroom, and then being able to put on VR and kind of enter like a very engaging space. Like, I think there's a lot of room for growth there, and I think that's very cool. In terms of my program, in terms of scaling, I would love to do that. And kind of there's 2 ideas in terms of scaling. Teaching another professional writer / professional communicator, somebody in communications, the system, which is really quite easy. I mean, really is just the color coding system, which has helped, right? You have a major error repetition and a minor error, and there are just some nuance within that, but not very much. So I can teach somebody just that system of highlighting, which is like a very good visual cue for newcomers in terms of learning, and then they could do programs and take on cohorts themselves. And the other thing I thought of as well is that some of the students that I teach, when they get to a certain level, that they can actually teach newcomers below them as well. I actually did a session with a woman from Afghanistan yesterday, and she said, thank you, I feel like I'm learning a lot, and one day I would love to pass this on to another newcomer. And I just thought, oh, that's so nice. I would love that. That would really warm my heart if the people that I teach are so enthusiastic about the lessons that they want to be teaching other people kind of how to structure their writing in a way that is, clear and confident. So those are my 2 ideas. And yes, like I think just, bringing other writers on board to run the program alongside me and do their own student groups as well, that would be great, right? And that could happen across Canada as well. Like, that's not limited to Ontario, because it can be all digital, right, in terms of the accessibility piece. So that's the idea for the future. And right now it's just me, and I've been enjoying it that way, but I would love to get other people on board as well.
Amazing. Well, Ted, I don't know if you shared your email in the chat box already. I'm Marwa, I know you did already.
I'll share it again. Yes.
Okay, so people can. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
Oh yeah, just so people can follow up with both of you if they need. Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, I just want to clarify to Karen, I didn't mean that one CLB level, but what I meant, they are taking longer than usual because they're feeling that these programs are not really relevant to their day-to-day, I would say, activities in terms of it's not really practical, the curriculum that they're working on. And based on their feedback, we were able to develop this project. And again, we always do surveys. We always consult the newcomers. And we've been working with them for almost 5 years, like the same group of Syrian refugees. And based on their response, we have applied for this project and we gave them statistics. And that's why we got funding for this. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No problem. I just an area of sensitivity, of course, to all of the link providers out there and ESL providers out there.
No, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, there's wonderful work going on. So any connections that we can make across to help each other is super.
Yes, that would be really helpful.
Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I know that we're kind of nearing the end here, but just one question that sprung to mind based on this last little bit of conversation that we were having. Marwa, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole PBLA system that was implemented in ESL and Link federally. Have you had any feedback from your clients about how that system works in terms of for specifically maybe refugee populations or more vulnerable populations? Because one of the things that just kind of occurred to me based on this conversation is that the PBLA process does require pretty extensive assessment over a long period of time. And I'm wondering if that is actually hindering the specific groups that we're talking about.
That why they're taking longer, and why they're complaining and they're saying that they're not improving.
Not progressing as quickly, yeah.
I would say it all depends on each case, but majority of the Syrian refugees who came, they really are starting from scratch. Like they have zero language skills. So we are expecting, and we know that even with the government, many of them expect that they're going to learn the language within a year, and that's the year that the government usually supports them. Then after a year, they're on their own. They have to find a job. They have to expect them that they're going to learn the language. So that also really plays a role in the expectation, and that is adding pressure on the newcomers. And that's why they came to us and they're like, we need additional support because we don't feel like we're picking up the language. We're taking 2, 3, 4 years, and yet we're not able to find a proper job or be able to conduct a full conversation on their own without help from other volunteers and other tutors. That was your feedback.
Yeah.
Great question. All right, well, I think we're kind of rounding up the session. So really wonderful discussion, and thank you again for the presentations for both Ted and Marwa. Really looking forward to hearing how things go over the next while, and we can always regroup back or help promote any future forums. I'm just going to flag that Shreya is going to be sharing the recording as well as some of the slides and the evaluation link again, and any intake forms or and the contact information for both Marwa and Ted. So look out for that. And if there's any other thoughts or feedback on future sessions, we're always open to that, and you can use the evaluation link for that purpose as well. And just want to thank everyone for such a warm discussion, and really appreciate all the different thoughts and thinking about the future of language training and where we can bring in some really customized supports and solutions. So hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay cool out there as it's going to be quite warm, and we'll regroup again soon. Take care.